And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Tuesday, October 28th. I am Josh Engleman, here to break down a 5-game NBA slate. And let's start right there. We recently, starting last year, got these situations where they would drop late games from the main slate. Well, they didn't do that today. They didn't do it today. 7 o'clock lock, Sixers Wizards. Hornets Heat at 7:30. Knicks Bucks at 8. Kings Thunder at 8. And then 3 hours. 11 o'clock lock for Clippers Warriors. This isn't a one-off. This is what Tuesdays are going to look like for us moving forward. 11 p.m. tip, Clippers and Warriors. We got a marathon tonight. We got 5 games to break down. Giannis is here. SGA is here. And they are the only 2 pay-up options above 10K today. Then we get into this 9K range. LaMelo, Maxey, Sabonis, Curry. It's a gross slate. And we got to break it all down. If you're here, hit the like button. That would be great. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter. You don't want to miss that. I'm going to be posting about these games all day. I've already posted 2 bets so far today to my Tails account. Totally free. You can follow along there as well. I got 2 things on the Charlotte side. We'll work our way through everything. I don't want to get too specific today. We got a lot of time. With only 5 games, we can spend a decent chunk of time looking at each individual game today, which I think is going to be fun. Before we do that, though, can we talk about how awesome Stokastic is? This is the screenshots right now. NBA has existed for a week at this point. We started last Tuesday, so we've got a full 7 days. Look at some of the wins we've had on the NBA side so far this season. Shout out to Joey Valentine for getting this one together. Wanted to put this up on the screen and let everybody know. Stokastic's the place to be, and it's very easy to get in the door at Stokastic because this promo is on its last day. The link is in the description. The promo code is OKC. 20% off any NBA or all access package, whichever direction you want. If you just want NBA, you can get NBA. If you're an NFL person, golf, NASCAR, we've got NHL projections and ownership. Football is clearly here. If you want the all access package, you can get it for 20% off. But this code ends today. If you don't use it now, you're paying full price. So if you're here, if you're watching this, if you're interested, there's no better time to get in than right now. Get yourself 20% off, either NBA specific or you can get the all access. All right. Let's talk about these individual games for a bit, shall we? Now, game number 1 is going to be tough to talk about because Philly's on a back-to-back. We don't know who is technically going to be available for this team today. So that's going to change things up a little bit. They didn't have Embiid yesterday. They didn't have Dominic Barlow yesterday. Obviously, Jared McCain is out. Paul George has been out. So they have been walking wounded. We've got everybody projected here. Expectation is that this looks very similar to everything we saw yesterday. But we don't know it for sure because we don't have that injury news. But for right now, I'm going with the assumption that those guys are out. Barlow, McCain, Embiid, George, and Trendon Watford in this case. So I've got let me switch to the boom bust tool. It's going to be an easier way to look at this. All right, boom bust tool is up. And let's look at Philly. Because They were a very annoying team for me yesterday. I was not a huge fan of the Sixers in that matchup yesterday. No regrets. I want to be very clear here. I bet that game at Orlando -3.5. It closed at 6.5. I was 100% correct. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. Philly had a 98th percentile offensive rating last night. I didn't think that was in the cards, given the guys that were out and given the names that are still here. But it happened, man. It certainly happened. Edgecombe, currently projected for 46% ownership, 45% optimal, 6,500 shooting guard, small forward eligibility. He's been great so far. Obviously, the geniuses on Twitter don't understand context, and they think if I don't like a guy in a particular DFS slate, that's somehow an indictment on how I feel about someone in their entire outlook. I like VJ Edgecombe. I like the pick for the Sixers. I think he's better than Ace Bailey. I like VJ Edgecombe a lot. Most rookies aren't very good. They do taper off from time to time. That's just where I'm going with this. But he's been great. But if there's ever been a bust scenario, and First Kings is saying it in chat now, I get there, I'm like, oh, the Magic are good. This is a rookie awakening for him. Not going to be great. Goes out there and smashes. Now today gets to face the Wizards, who are awful. VJ Edgecombe's going to have 7 points tonight. The matchup's perfect. It's a pace-up spot. Their opponent's awful. Everything is on their side right now. They're going to lose this game to the Sixers. It just feels so obvious. Now, Edgecombe's playing a ton. If we want to talk about what he's doing when he's out there, 58.5% true shooting. I'll take that all day. 23% usage, 58.5% true shooting. Great start. Gets to the rim well. Now, he's not a 40% three-point shooter. He's not even an average three-point shooter. Those numbers are going to come down for sure. But the attacking the rim, the aggression, the pace at which he plays, I love every bit of it. But what we've seen so far is going to change and get worse. I promise you guys this. He won't shoot 40% on 6 threes per game. But he's 20 years old and looks like another great find for the Sixers. Strong enough to be able to defend actively a little bit more, where McCain is never going to hold up defensively. Edgecombe can. He absolutely can. But yeah, he's been fantastic. 2 good games, 1 not so good. But you can't ask for much more out of a rookie like that. You really can't. Not much ownership, though, coming into the rest of the Sixers. Oubre, Maxey, Grimes, all in that 5 to 10% range. I mean, 9,500 is obviously a pretty healthy price tag for Tyrese Maxey, but it's a 5-game slate. There's only 2 guys north of 10K. And Tyrese Maxey, without question, has the best matchup of anybody on today's slate. When you get to face the Wizards, everything's better. This is a team that's not going to have good defensive ratings, even by the time we get to the end of the season. Anything we look at, it's not going to be good for them. And it holds up right now. Wizards, 6th worst effective field goal percentage allowed. Now, they have been really good at defensive rebounding. My assumption is that they're just crashing, or this is just, 3 games worth of data. But they have been good defensive rebounding. They cause no turnovers. 12.5% so far this season. That's 28th. That's helpful for Philly if they're not going to be coughing the ball up as much. But this is a very extra not good team. I like the guards here. Whether that's, Maxey as a GPP option, whether that's, obviously Edgecombe is going to be the unequivocal most popular dude here for Philly. And he's going to end up in my lineups. We'll run some sims in a bit. But like Grimes, I think there's something there on a day like today at 5% ownership with that eligibility. There's not much else here. Drummond's at 4,800. Bona's at 4,300. None of that looks great. I mean, you guys can see it on the screen right here. Conceivably, we have Embiid for 20 to 24 minutes or something. I don't know how much that ultimately matters. You know, he's 8,200 and it doesn't appear that he's like ready to go. So whether he plays or like if he plays, that just ruins Drummond and Bona. If for some reason we don't get Embiid again, which we got to remember, I know they're going to rest Embiid on these back-to-backs and he didn't play yesterday. We also don't know what he's going to be every day. He could wake up and still not feel good and be out again. So we don't know what the status is here, but we know that we don't really want him given his playing time. Philly looks like Edgecombe and not much else in terms of priorities. I'm very interested in some of these other guys in GPPs. On the Washington side, we do know their news. Now, it's not as if it's a ton of news. Bilal Coulibaly is obviously still out. And then Trey Johnson is questionable. Otherwise, everybody else is just available here. 20% ownership to Keyshawn George, 20% ownership to CJ McCollum, 15 for Trey Johnson with that Q tag, and about 10 for Sarr and Whitmore. As we have it, every one of these guys are basically overowned. And they're all just kind of sitting in the 6K range. I don't see anybody when I look at Washington and think like, I really like that. You know, Sarr's just center eligible. That becomes pretty limiting. But like Keyshawn George certainly seems like the easiest guy to get to. The minutes are going to be there. He's got an MPE, mid 6K price tag, but I don't find a lot that I want for Washington. And the more I have of this team, and I'm okay with like, you know, you're going to have probably a wizard in like half of your stuff. But that also limits you for late swap purposes if you lock this team in early. And while I like the matchup, I don't think Philly's any good, regardless of how people respond to me on Twitter. I don't see anybody that stands out. I thought Cam Whitmore could be more involved here. He's not. Middleton is still here with CJ just kind of gumming up the works. First King says Marvin Bagley. I mean, you're not playing Marvin Bagley. He's 3,400 and 0.3% owned. That's not the path. Like, I guess my option here would be Trey Johnson, but like a $4,800 bench guard with a Q tag, it's just not that's not a take I need right now. Just from an offense perspective, I mean, this game should be crazy. Neither one of these teams are any good defensively. I've got the Wizards, based on their rotations today, 4.5 points worse than average on defense. I've got Philly 3.5 points worse on defense. There's going to be a lot of offense to go around. That much we know. But I don't think that's the game that we need to spend a ton of time on. So we're going to move it to the next one. Make our lives a little bit easier. I really do think the Wizards are going to win today, just because of the way that I took the Magic yesterday. All right, Hornets Heat. Let's talk about this Hornets team because they are extra injured. So Trey Mann is questionable for today. What's that injury? Jaw contusion. And then Antonio Reeves, Brandon Miller, Drew Peterson, Grant Williams, Josh Green, KJ Simpson, all out. Obviously, Brandon Williams, shoulder injury a game or two ago. Josh Green still hasn't gotten in here yet. Grant Williams still working his way back from his torn ACL from last year. Now, this Charlotte team is real bad. Obviously, LaMelo's good. Bridges and Colin Sexton are both serviceable. Con Knipple I like moving forward. He's not going to be all that good now. Ryan Kalkbrenner I like as a rotational center moving forward. It's he's the center on the Hornets. I mean, the rest of the bench, Moussa Diabate, Zion James, Salon, Liam McNeely. I mean, it's not making me feel all that excited about anything I'm doing here. I want to tell you guys the two bets I made on this one. Maybe you guys are interested. I'll pull it up on Tails right now. But I went two different directions here for today. I took LaMelo Ball under 8.5 assists. I just think about it like LaMelo getting 9 or more assists in this game. That means that when he passes the ball to his teammates, they made 9 shots. I just don't trust this team to create enough offense, especially against a Heat team that leans defensive. So it's not that I don't like LaMelo, but I have a much easier time thinking he's just jacking up shots than these guys are going to get 9 assists today. I don't love it. Similarly, I took the under on Con Knipple's points. It's at 13.5. He's sitting at like 16.5% usage so far this season. And he's at like 70-something% true shooting. So below average usage, he's making everything. If he just doesn't make everything, then we're fine. Everything's fine there. If he's going to maintain this usage, I'm not all that interested. Again, I don't like the matchup against Miami. So under on Con Knipple points, under on LaMelo Ball assists. Both of those are up on Tails. It's very simple. And you guys can see it right now. If you're interested in that and you're following me on Tails, this is totally free. You click this tail button and it'll pull up any of the other odds if they exist. If you want to make a bet on that. Same for LaMelo. You click that, you can view other sportsbook odds and tail that bet if needed. It's all right there for you guys. Let's take a look at the boom bust tool, though. For the Charlotte Hornets, 35% ownership to Colin Sexton, 25% ownership to Miles Bridges, and then 10 to 15 on Kalkbrenner, Ball, and Mann. If you're looking at the data right now, you should know exactly who you want here. Massive positive leverage on Miles Bridges at 7,500. Pretty sizable negative leverage on Colin Sexton. Now, they both look good, but, if you can get 35 of Bridges in a tournament and 25 of Sexton, I think that's the right path to take. I love that optimal rate on Bridges. Similarly, $4,600 Kalkbrenner, 5% positive leverage. There's some things to like here for Charlotte on the DFS side just because of how thin they are. And the injuries are causing this, but it's not going to feel great. But if I'm looking at these guys, my focus will be Bridges and Ball, and then to a lesser extent to Ryan Kalkbrenner. Not much else. This doesn't feel like a spot I want to go to their bench. But there's some things to like on the DFS side for Charlotte, given how thin they are. Now, for Miami, we do have to worry about a little bit of news for the Heat. I believe Simone Fontecchio is questionable. Confirm that in a second once this pulls up. Yeah, Fontecchio questionable. And then, obviously, Tyler Hero's still out. Yakashonis is still yet to make his debut. And I don't think Terry Rozier is going to be showing up anytime soon for the Miami Heat. Tons of ownership coming into Miami. Should not be surprising given the fact that they're playing the Hornets. And this Hornets team's just not good. Now, oddly enough, this Hornets team is sitting at 18th in defensive rating. They've been pretty damn good at limiting defensive rebounds, which is helping them out a ton. I don't get the sense that they're going to be long for a good defense. But so far, teams are only shooting 55% at the rim. Nope, that's not them. Oh, no, that is 55% at the rim. I looked at San Antonio for a second. That is third. Shout out Ryan Kalkbrenner. But 30% ownership to Bam. 35 to Nikola Jovic. 20 to Wiggins. 20 to Jaquez. 15 to Drew Smith. 10 more for Ware. 10 more for Powell. 10 more for Mitchell. That's a lot of ownership coming into Miami, and I think some of it makes some sense. Let's start with Jovic. He's not going to be 36% owned, or at least it doesn't appear that he's going to be 36% owned. We have him at 26% optimal, likely the biggest negative leverage play right now. Just assume that comes down. I think Bam probably stands out as the best option. 8K. Power forward center eligibility. I think that helps. Yeah, the Charlotte the Charlotte schedule to start the year, not exactly a murderer's row. Like Khalil Ware, center only, fine. Right in that same area as Kalkbrenner. Powell's 6,900, but just shooting guard. That becomes a little bit limiting, tougher to fit in. You know, I probably have a little bit more interest in Wiggins just because of the MPE. Jaquez has been interesting, but we have him with the second biggest negative leverage score for Miami. I think ultimately you're going to get a lot of Miami, but I don't think there's an individual from the Heat where you're like, that guy stands out today. That I don't really see. Davion Mitchell's up to 5,900 now, just a 10% guy. I think my preferred option here would be Andrew Wiggins, just given the MPE. But we're going to want a lot of Miami, and we'll see that when I run a sim set after I'm done taking a look at every single one of these games individually. Let's hit the next one for today. That's going to be some game. Oh, Knicks Bucks. Okay. So going to be tough to say too much for this one right now. You'll see it on the screen why. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson's still out managing an injury. Karl Anthony Towns is questionable. Miles McBride is questionable. Gershon Yabusele is questionable. Depending on which one of these guys are in or out would obviously move around everything for the Knicks. I believe McBride missed the last one. Is that correct? It's either the last one or the one before that. So keep an eye there. You know, if Towns is out and Yabu plays, Yabu becomes one of the best values of the day. If Towns is in, then that's not the case. If McBride is out, probably getting a new starter. Whoever that starter is going to look pretty damn good, or at least a little bit better. But it's tough to say too much about these guys until we know. I don't mind doing like a if this, then that, but it's tough when it's a lot of guys. Like Towns is 25% owned, 25% optimal at 8,600. I think Karl Anthony Towns looks pretty good here, but he's got to play too. If he's in, he's the best guy from the Knicks. If he's out, it's probably Yabu at 3,600. Josh Hart, always a good play. Josh Hart, 3.5% owned. Very much not a good play today unless these guys are out. Small forward, power forward eligible, 6,100. It's Brunson and Anunoby as your next two guys up here for the Knicks. 10 to 15% owned, 10 to 15% optimal. Click on Towns, Brunson, and Anunoby. We're not reinventing the wheel here. But Towns' injury status matters. McBride's injury status matters. Yabusele's injury status matters. If we get one of these guys out, it will make the Knicks look much better. But as of right now, if we get Towns in, he's the dude we want. And then on the Milwaukee side, we talk about our premier pay up option of the day, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,800. Power forward only, which is wrong. 15% optimal, 15% owned. Similar to Ryan Rollins. Kind of similar to Cole Anthony, but Cole Anthony more optimal. Looks like he's going to be back for this one, or at least could be. He's questionable, as is somebody else that plays today. Who's the other questionable guy? Cole Anthony and... Oh, yeah, Kyle Kuzma, who... it's so easy to forget who Kyle Kuzma is. But we got to talk about Giannis here. 11,800. Have you guys paid attention to what he's done so far? Like, obviously, Giannis has stupid outcomes all the time. He's averaging 36 points. He's leading the league in rebounds per game through these 3 games at 16. 36 points, 16 boards, 7 assists, 2 stocks. He's leading the league in field goals made, twos taken, and rebounds. He led the league in 2-point attempts and 2-point makes in each of the previous 2 years. He's just going nuts. And he's got a matchup against the Knicks that can't stop him. OG Anunoby is going to do everything in his power to do it, but Towns ain't going to do it. And Huck Porty's not going to do it. And Yabu's not going to do it. I want to do everything I can to find enough salary to get to Giannis. Raw points matter on a day like today, and there is nobody on this slate that can hang raw points like Giannis can, especially in this matchup against the Knicks. This isn't a good defense. 114.6, 0.4 of a point better than average. It's a 14th ranked defense. Amazing. Play Giannis. Not a hot take, but 18% owned Giannis. I want to find out how to get more. I really do. Now, if Cole Anthony plays, there's no Kevin Porter Jr. Cole Anthony provides a bit of value at 4,600, point guard, shooting guard eligible. In the games that he hasn't missed, the minutes have been there. Ryan Rollins, similar stories, playing 30 plus minutes. 14% ownership, 14% optimal. Not a ton of interest in Miles Turner, but he's not a no. Well, my takeaway is just get Giannis, which I think makes a ton of sense. Right now, by the way, right now I have the Bucks getting 1.5, and I have the Knicks favored by 1.5. But at this moment, that implies everybody's going to play. I'm really trying not to want Russell Westbrook, love him as a player, but feels like he's a negative any team he's on. Yeah, Jake, you could just go through this with the right mindset. Russell Westbrook is really good, an inner circle Hall of Famer. But he hasn't been good for years, and he's old now. We have to stop thinking that guys just are themselves forever. You can love him as a player, but he is a negative on every team that he's on. That is correct. Got to have the perfect lineup to play Giannis. Luckily, I put those out every week. All right, next game. 2 more to go, and then we'll build some lineups. Yeah, Jake, both of those things can be true. You could love Russell Westbrook as a player and just recognize that he is no longer in his prime. I think that's reasonable. Sacramento Kings, no Daquan Plowden, Stevens, Keegan Murray, or Neek Clifford. This is an extra special, not good spot for the Sacramento Kings. That should not be all that surprising. 10.5 point dogs against Oklahoma City. I've got it worse than that. This Kings defense is so damn bad. I mean, Sabonis, one of the worst defensive centers that exists. Levine, dreadful defensively. DeRozan, dreadful defensively. Schroeder and Ellis can only do so much. Monk stinks defensively. Westbrook, not exactly great. And it's not going to get much better with Dylan Cardwell, Saric, Eubanks, Isaac Jones. Woo. Tough. So let's look at the Sacramento Kings and the boom bust tool because they are a little banged up. Yep. The highest owned guy on the Sacramento Kings today is 5% owned Dennis Schroeder. The highest optimal is 5% Domantas Sabonis. Yeah, I don't want much of these guys against Oklahoma City. Is that surprising? Sabonis isn't healthy. The rest of these guys aren't very good. This is the least interesting team I could get to. There's not a single thing I want here unless we get injury news that takes people off the floor. And they don't have any. No questionables. Why would we play Sacramento against Oklahoma City today? What's the appeal? Who succeeds here? I think the answer is nobody. I don't want this. My guess is we don't see a lot of this Sacramento Kings team in the Sims. It's like, I don't mind if I have them at lock so that I could late swap, but none of them look good. Again, 5% ownership, 5% optimal is the most we have for any individual player here. Which takes us to, we need a new name for this. It used to be the late night hammer was just like the late game. This game tips off 3 hours after the 8 o'clocks. I mean, all of the games are going to be done by the time this game starts, unless they go to stupid overtime. So think about that when you're constructing your lineups as we go to look at the LA Clippers for today. But just, I hate this so much. This 11 o'clock start is insane. The NBA should be fined for thinking that this is a good idea. We got a lot of ownership coming into the Clippers, and that should not be all that surprising. While the game is good, Clippers good and old, Warriors good and old, having a lot of ownership here just makes it easier to swap up until 8 o'clock. Or by the time you get to this game, swap around in it to make your game more unique. 25% ownership to John Collins, 35 to Kawhi, 25 to Harden, 20 to Zoo, 10 to Chris Dunn. From an injury perspective, no Bradley Beal, no Jordan Miller or Kobe Sanders, but what we're worried about here is no Bradley Beal. I don't expect this gap to continue, but 23% ownership, 42% optimal on John Collins at 5,200 power forward center. He's the best play that we could see for the Clippers, at least to start the day. Overall, you want to get to a $7,600 Kawhi Leonard. Justin Sports, it's every Tuesday for the rest of the year. Whether DK keeps them or not, I don't know. They're going to keep it every time there's less than 6 games. Like if today were an 8-gamer, this game wouldn't be on the slate. Because it's a 5, that's why it's there. This has nothing to do with the World Series. This is a new NBA schedule issue where they are playing late games on Tuesdays. Yeah, this is on purpose, unfortunately. Okay. I love Kawhi because of that price tag. I'm more than happy to get to James Harden. The value on John Collins looks great. I mean, a $6,900 Zoo looks fine. Chris Dunn I don't love, but $3,500 is the type of price tag to help you get Giannis. Now, Jeff, maybe it'll move. They're going to be running 10:30 and 11 p.m. tips for this year. It's not the World Series. This is an NBA scheduled thing. We knew about this during the summer. I bitched about it then, too. Lots and lots and lots of the Clippers, folks. Then we get to Golden State. They got Moses Moody back. They're looking pretty healthy here. They're not looking like they're getting a lot of ownership. 15% to Kuminga, 7% positive leverage. And then no other ownership. Draymond at 5, Steph at 3, Butler at 2. I don't like that. But I will say this. If you're going to get a lot of the Clippers today, then I think it becomes very easy to just like have that become more of Golden State when you swap. Because you're going to have a lot of your lineups, you're going to be looking for something to save you at that point in time. And I think a lot of that is going to be taking like a 15% owned Zoo and turning that into like Draymond to be more unique or something along those lines. But I wouldn't mind having a little bit more Golden State. I just think they're the team you acquire at 725 and 755 in your 2 late swaps. And then at fucking 1045. Ugh. Let's build some lineups. I'm going to run one big sim just to start. Just to see what the sims are spitting out. And then we're going to get ready for the starting lineup. I'm going to give you guys my starting 5 for today's slate, and we're going to build some 3v3s off of it. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. While this is running, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you guys about the schedule for the rest of today's games. Or sorry, for the rest of today's shows. My apologies. Assuming, yes, I am tagged in it. Coming up after this, 10 a.m. Eastern time, NFL strategy show. Laffy and Ben, they're taking their first peek at next week's games. We're already through Monday Night Football. Pour one out for my Commanders. NHL strategy show at 1:30 p.m. If you're an NHL person, we'll have that show going. I will be on the NBA Deeper Dive today, 5 p.m. Eastern time with Chris Spags. Greg Ehrenberg and Eric Lindquist will be live for Live Before Lock at 6, at which point then 7 p.m. myself and Greg Ehrenberg live on Playback tonight, playback.tv/Stokastic. We're going to watch a bit of that Philly and Washington game from 7 to 7:30. We can switch it over to Charlotte and Miami for the final stretch, but we're going to be there for an hour talking bets, DFS, late swaps, everything. All right. Lineups are generated. Let's simulate them against the pool and find out where we stand. One final reminder here. 20% off. The promo code is OKC. You cannot use this promo code after today. The link is in the description. If you want to sign up at Stokastic and get everything we have, either in NBA specific or in an all-access monthly package, you can do that right now. 20% off. It goes away tomorrow, at which point you're going to end up paying the full cost. Einsteinium, not a bad idea. Maybe you will. I assume he'll be working on shit for tomorrow, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does that. Alrighty, top 150 lineups in the Sims at 9:39 a.m. 75% ownership coming into John Collins. Number 1 guy, not surprised. VJ Edgecombe, Miles Bridges, Cole Anthony, and my guy, AJ Mitchell. SGA here, 34%, much over the field. Brian Little, did I miss why Josh didn't cover OKC players? Yeah, I fucking forgot. I forgot I skipped them, man. That's usually the easiest way to talk about it. Let me take a peek quick. I mean, I'm going to like Shea in GPPs just given the ownership, but value $4,900 AJ Mitchell with all these guys out for OKC right now. I mean, they're walking wounded. Caruso, Joe, J-Dub, Kenrich, Topic, Sorber. We are getting a chunk of them. But it's AJ Mitchell at the tip of the spear here. Just really good $4,900 value. But I think this is probably the more interesting piece. $10,900 Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, positive 22% leverage. Got a little bit of Case and Wallace, a little bit of Wiggins. I love the centers here. I just don't know which one to take. Like, probably Chet, honestly. Because while I'm not a huge Sabonis guy, he is exceptional as a rebounder. I like this offensively for Chet a little bit more. Not to mention, he should see some success in the defensive stats. Apologies for skipping OKC there. They're just a tough team to want to talk about. We know how good they are. But it's AJ Mitchell season. I think SGA might end up being the point guard in the starting five, which I think we need to start looking at right now. Let's go to the single lineup sim. We're going to go 25% to first. And we're going to find the optimal for my starting five. So I'm going to clear out this boom bust tool. Sort by optimal. And here we go. Welcome to the starting five, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to find my 5 favorite plays, load them into the single lineup simulator, and then find out what's the optimal 3v3 with those guys, and what are some other looks we could use to optimize that lineup. We need to find 5 guys: point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. We've got everything on the screen right now. VJ Edgecombe just has to go into this lineup. So we know that we're going to get VJ Edgecombe. At this moment, based on the positive leverage that we have in the boom bust tool, we've got to get John Collins. That's 2. I am going to take Kawhi Leonard at 7,600. That will be 3. I'm going to leave Giannis Antetokounmpo out of this lineup so that I can get Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at what I believe to be a little bit more value. So what we need to do is start piecing these guys into the lineup. SGA goes in. Next up is going to be Edgecombe. We know that we're going to get John Collins. And we know that we're going to get Kawhi Leonard. We need to find a center. And we're going to need to save a little bit of salary while picking the center for the starting 5. Or we could use John Collins there. I'm not a Jovic guy. That's not a direction I want to go. I need to save a little bit more salary. It feels to me like Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be a member of my starting 5 for today. So we've got our 5. The baseline projection for the starting 5 is SGA, VJ Edgecombe, Kawhi Leonard, John Collins, and Ryan Kalkbrenner. We have 3 spots remaining, $15,200 left. So the first thing we're going to do is find out who are the 3 optimal plays around this starting 5. All I have to do is click complete this lineup, and it'll immediately just fill those guys in. The 3 optimal plays around them: Nikola Jovic, AJ Mitchell, and the cum bucket, Jonathan Kuminga. Spends every dollar, projected for 267 fantasy points, 220% ownership. First lineup in the books. Let's see it. And this tool, man, getting in here and getting your hands dirty in the single lineup sim, there's nothing better. And we started off with a gem. 83% sim ROI, 0.2% chance to win, 39% cash rate. We are taking on some decent chunks of ownership in Edgecombe and Kawhi, Jovic and AJ Mitchell, but only 11% for Shea, 15 for Kalkbrenner and Kuminga. That's keeping us unique enough. And I think that we're okay with that start, but we need to figure out what else we can do. So we're going to keep that optimal starting 5. We're going to duplicate that lineup, and we're going to clear out the guys that already showed up. And now we're going to put 10% randomness on this sim, and we're going to see if we can get 3 different guys for this lineup, because there's a lot of 3v3 combinations we could use with this core. And immediately we get a new one. Take the 3v3 we had from before, replace it with Colin Sexton, Aaron Wiggins, and Khalil Ware. So 3 completely different options. 263 projection, 189 ownership. Remember the reference we just had. We went down in fantasy points by 4.5. We went down in ownership by 31%. This is going to be an interesting trade-off. Did we give up too much, or did we create a really unique option? We went down too much. 36% sim ROI, just a 0.1% chance to win, 33% cash rate. Let's see if we can save this manually. We can move Sexton, Wiggins, and Ware. Sexton, to me, is the guy that probably needs to come out, but he's also the most efficient. So if we take out Wiggins and Ware, we want to try to find a guy that's not all that owned, but we're not giving up too much value. Drew Smith is a potential. Chris Dunn is a potential. Cole Anthony here, I think, is kind of interesting. If I go to Cole Anthony, we have $5,200 left for a power forward, which in this case doesn't help. It ends up being Aaron Wiggins again, and then we leave $400 on the table. I kind of like this Cole Anthony piece here, but I don't think this lineup's going to change all that much. 51% sim ROI, not bad. We do have a good core. Let's clear it out one last time and find out if we can get a different 3v3. 10% randomness. We went back to Mitchell, Jovic, and Kuminga. Obviously, we've already seen that one. Okay. And this is going to be our final 3v3 for the starting 5. Colin Sexton shows up once again. OG Anunoby and Chris Dunn. That gives us 3 different Clippers options here. And this is the first we've seen OG Anunoby. 263.6 projection, 190 ownership. Might be a little low again, but I think we'll be in the green. Another one. Another gem. 60% sim ROI, 0.2% chance to win, 34% cash rate. Not a bad setup for a starting 5 of VJ Edgecombe, Kawhi Leonard, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and John Collins. So easy to use this single lineup simulator to build a lineup you like and then find 10 more that fit with what you're trying to do. What do you guys think about some of these lineups? What do you like? What do you not like? Is there someone in my starting 5, Edgecombe, Leonard, Kalkbrenner, SGA, Collins, that you guys don't want to see in this lineup? Because I'm guessing one of you guys don't like him. Don't like someone here. Who can we take out to see the impact? That's what I want to know what you guys want to do. Because we have about 5 minutes or so left. Don't love the Kalk tonight. I mean, neither do I. But we got to pay down for some stuff today where, you know, we're not going to like 1 or 2 of these names. None of you guys want Ryan Kalkbrenner. Okay. I will unlock Ryan Kalkbrenner, and then we'll take the optimal around the 4 guys that we have. Edgecombe, Kawhi, Collins, and SGA. So the optimal, unsurprisingly, does put Kalkbrenner into this lineup. But what if we want to go a different direction? Is there another center on Kalkbrenner's island that we could pivot to? Kel'el Ware is there. With a very similar projection and similar ownership. Can you try to get SGA and Giannis? Brian, that's a good start. Let me clear out everything that I have, and we could do a couple things like that. So let's get SGA. And let's get Giannis. Let's see what the optimal lineup looks like around those guys. Drew Smith, Cole Anthony, Edgecombe, Jovic, Collins, Chris Dunn, Giannis, SGA, leaves 100 on the table. Now, we have a reference lineup. Remember this. 263 projection. So we're down by 4.25, but we cut 41% ownership. This is going to be higher than the first one. This is going to be like 90 or 100. 66. Still a great lineup, though. 0.3% chance to win, 35% cash rate. You really got to punt, though. You really got to punt here. I mean, look at the salaries. $3,300 Drew Smith, $3,500 Chris Dunn, $4,100 Jovic. That's a tough build. And what's really tough about it is that the moment you put these guys in, you're really just funneling to a very specific and similar build because there's only so many ways you could do this. You want me to take Kawhi out? Well, he's not in this lineup. So I'm not so unless we get some new value, which is certainly possible throughout the day. I don't think the Giannis Shea combo looks great. Like the general optimal today does have them both in it. Oh, wait, actually, no, it doesn't. The real optimal for today is Sexton, Edgecombe, Leonard, Bridges, Jovic, AJ Mitchell, Collins, and Towns. For the record, do you guys hear what I just said? The real optimal lineup for today in our projections right now does not contain SGA or Giannis. The most expensive player in the lineup is Karl Anthony Towns at $8,600. That's a really interesting lineup. To have neither one of the two pay-ups today. Something to think about for the way that this slate is set up. And I think we could improve that lineup pretty easily, too. Who would I want to... I mean, Jovic is the first guy I would want to take out of that. But I'm going to need a second guy to make this be easy. Isn't Towns injured? Maybe. He is questionable for today. All right, let's swap Kawhi and Jovic for some sort of other combination of things. And if we do that, we can put Towns in at center for a little bit more flexibility. Best value option at small forward is Jaquez, actually, at that ownership. If we go to Jaquez, that leaves us 7,400 for somebody. Which would be Ivica Zubac. Okay, so Kawhi out, Jovic out. Jaquez in, Zubac in. Yeah, just 31%. Harden over Harden. That's an interesting take on Steinium. If Fontecchio is active at 3,200, should be a lock. Look, I probably advocate for Simone Fontecchio on these shows more than anybody else in this industry. That is not what a lock is, Anthony. Harden over Kawhi. There, you got there, Einstein. You. I knew you would. Simone Fontecchio, 3,200. 4% owned, 1% optimal. Go a different direction, Anthony. Lock is not the word you're looking for. He's not even the top 3K guy on Miami. Drew Smith is projected for 16% optimal. Folks, we've looked at every one of these 5 games today. We've got an interesting schedule. We've got a billion things left to do through the rest of this day. But for now, the NBA strategy show has come and gone, my friends. Thank you for being here. please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and follow me on Twitter. I've got a ton of content to come out for the rest of the day. It's been great. But you guys get to go watch the NFL Strategy Show live in just a couple minutes with Dave Loughran and Ben Raza. And finally, you can sign up using the promo code OKC. That's all you got to do. 20% off. Link in the description. Goodbye, everybody. See you tomorrow.